What's up, y'all? Welcome back for another edition of Too Busy, Too Busy, Too Busy Tuesday. Hey, too busy, too busy, too busy Tuesday. Hey, welcome back, y'all. I'm Raffinée. For those of you that are new here, welcome. So glad to have you. If you are a returning Too Busy viewer, listener, thank you so much for being back again. Drop me a what's up in the chat or in the comments. I am so excited about tonight's topic because I actually had a discussion last night with somebody about this. Before we get to that, though, I got to give my disclaimer. So if this is your first time listening or you haven't been here in a while, just a reminder, here's what Too Busy is. This is my series where I get to share a little bit about things that I don't have time or energy for. Now, some of these things that I share are things that are still in progress for me. Some of these things are hard and fast and they're like non-negotiables, absolutely way too busy, not doing it. Okay. So I share that because I don't ever want people to think like, oh, Renee got it all together. I don't. I'm still learning these things. And the beautiful thing about all of this, what I love and what I say every time, is that just because I'm too busy for it doesn't mean that you also have to be too busy for it. So the beautiful thing about this is you get to pick and choose. You can decide if there's something that I'm sharing that really resonates with you and you're like, you know what, Raffinée, I too need to be too busy for that. There may be things where you're like, Raffinée, I'm actually not too busy for that. I have time and energy for that. And I'm like, yes, go for it. You get to decide and choose what is best for you and what works well for you. I wish y'all could see my shirt today. It says every day I'm counseling. Now, a friend of mine gave this to me, and literally every time I wear this shirt, I always think every day I'm counseling. Like that's literally how I say it anytime I have this shirt on. So I'm gonna jump into it tonight because I'm not gonna be here super long. Y'all know when it's just me, I try to do about 10 minutes. When I have a guest, we usually go a little longer. So here's the topic tonight. When it comes to making assumptions, for that, I say I am way too busy. Now, y'all listen. I had a conversation last night with a friend, and this idea or this thought came up about how often people make assumptions and then they operate and behave as a result of those assumptions. And in acting on those assumptions, it assumes that what I believe to be true is accurate, is factual, is the whole truth, that there's no opportunity for something else to be a possibility. Now, I find myself talking about this often because I have been incredibly guilty of making assumptions. So, if you don't know me like super well, you might not know this at first glance, but I think I do a great job of knowing like what's going on, why it's going on, what's happening, how we got to this space. Like I think I do an excellent job of that. And so I have been incredibly guilty of making assumptions because I think I am so skilled at doing that. Now, that's another episode for another day about that. But here's what I've seen in making assumptions about what other people think, how other people feel. If I share this, how this is going to impact somebody else. Y'all, I have missed so many opportunities to have dialogue and conversation with other people, to allow my assumptions to potentially be wrong and be challenged in some kind of way. I've missed opportunities to even consider the other side of the coin, and not just the other side of the coin, but also all the options that could exist in between. So I like to say most times things are not like this or that. Although I have found myself really guilty of assuming that things are that way. I'm like, either it's this, which is like best case scenario, or it's going to be this worst case scenario. And that does not leave any room for nuance of all the options that could be in between the two of those things. The other thing that I see happen too is that sometimes in making assumptions, we will, and I'll talk about Raffinée. I have asked a question in my head. Now, this question is not to me, Raffinée. This question is actually to someone else. So I'm asking someone else, if I share with you how I think or feel about this, how is that going to make you feel? Then I, Raffinée, answer that question that I just asked someone else. So now I've taken on someone else's role and I'm answering. I'm like, Well, if you tell me that, Raffinée, I'm going to feel this kind of way, and then I'm going to do this. And then I, Raffinée, behave and act based on that question that I asked, that answer that I gave. And y'all, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and I cannot say that I'm perfect in this. I still am like a work in progress at not making assumptions and not asking and answering the question myself. Here's what I know though. When we ask and answer the question ourselves, we don't allow other people the opportunity to weigh in. And how selfish, how arrogant, how all the things of us to be like, I'm all knowing. And so I know what your answer is going to be to my question. I know how you're going to respond. Thereby, I'm going to behave and act with you in this way. And what I've seen happen in my own life is that it creates such tension because then I'm engaging with someone based on this narrative, this story that I have created in my own mind that they've not even been privy to, that they've not even had an opportunity to speak about, that they've not had an opportunity to engage in a dialogue about, that they've not even had an opportunity to behave in a certain kind of way. Like, I literally have formed all the things in my mind. And last night when I was talking with my friend, I was like, it warms me up so much. Now, I've been guilty of this. And now, like, really trying to be intentional about this, it is frustrating to me. And I can see looking back how it could have been frustrating for other people that were engaging with me that probably had questions about, like, why is she talking with me in this kind of way? Why is she not sharing with me anymore? Why is she interacting with me in this certain kind of way? And if they had asked me and I was honest, it would have been, my answer would have been, because I asked you a question, I answered the question for you, and then I began to operate based on my answer to myself as if it was factual. And I do not recommend. I don't recommend it. I just do not recommend it. Operating based on assumptions. You know, there's a phrase out there, you know, that says when we operate on assumptions, it makes an ass out of you and me. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying it just creates these narratives and stories and potentially tension or disconnect or this discomfort that doesn't actually have to be there. So let me give you an example. Sometimes I have maybe wanted to share something with somebody. And in my mind, I've been like, if I share this with them, it's going to make them feel XYZ. And so then I decide I'm not going to share because I don't want to make them feel XYZ. So then I have missed out on an opportunity to make a connection with a person, whether it's going to deepen our relationship, whether it's going to cause some conflict and we're going to have to work through it, whether it's going to bring us closer together, whatever the case may be. I've missed that opportunity because I have decided on my own that this is what's happening. And I wonder if any of y'all are out there will be, you know, can be honest enough to say, you know what? I've done that. I've been guilty of that. I'm currently doing that. I did that today. I found myself like censoring or making an assumption or asking and answering the question in my own head. And I really want to challenge us, myself included. I'm challenging myself to not ask and answer the question ourselves. That if there is a question that we have, if there's an uncertainty that is lingering in our mind, if there's a narrative or a story that has been created, that we would challenge it. Whether that is, I need to challenge that internally and say, you know what, Raffinée, you're making an assumption right now. You're asking and answering the question right now in your own head, and it's impacting your behavior in this way. Even doing that, even if it's not, I've got to go loop the other person into this discussion. If I am challenging myself and saying, you know what, I asked and answered the question, and I need to go back and rectify that. You can do that within yourself and then choose to engage in a different kind of way. If I think, oh, if I tell my friend this, they're going to be mad at me, so I'm not going to tell them this, and then I just hold that inside, it's going to show up. Versus if I'm like, you know what? I am kind of concerned if I tell my friend this, that it may bring up some frustration. Yet that's an assumption. And so I cannot behave or engage with them based on an assumption because it creates whatever it creates for me. tension, disconnect, resentment, hurt, sadness. Maybe it creates some additional frustration for me because I'm like, well, you frustrated? Well, I'm frustrated that I can't tell you because you're going to get mad about it. Like, oh my gosh, it's so much. So that's my challenge for y'all this week, is to be diligent, be intentional about not asking and answering the question in your own head. Be diligent to not make assumptions, to challenge some of the assumptions that you may be making, whether that's today, ones that you made last week or last month. And I would love, love, love to hear from y'all in the comments what your thoughts are. If you're like, I'm joining you, I'm too busy for making assumptions. If you're like, no, I'm gonna keep making assumptions, you can say that too. Like, I mean, I said at the beginning, you get to pick, you get to choose, and you get to decide, and I mean that. And so I'm not going to go back and forth and try to convince you. I would just love to hear from y'all and hear what your thoughts are. Have you seen this in your own life? Have you seen it to create any tension, any disconnect, any resentment, any other kinds of feelings come up? Now, that's all I got for y'all this week. Super, super excited. I hope you'll join me next week. I will be here July the 5th. So I know there's a holiday Monday, but I will be on next Tuesday, and I'm going to be sharing some special stuff that's kind of on my heart that's coming up really soon. And if you're looking for more information, how to connect with me, resources, please feel free to go to my website. It's raffineewilson.com, first name, last name.com. And if you have any questions, you always are welcome to DM me, shoot me an email, shoot me a message on my website. I love, love, love hearing from y'all. And I love, love hearing how people are connecting and like engaging with this content and how they're seeing it be helpful to them. So until next time, I hope that you'll join me again for another Too Busy Tuesday.